The air grows thin, doesn't it? A chill that has nothing to do with the Gundy evening seeps into your very marrow. You asked about death, about where you go. But what if the you that asks never truly was? Consider this. Your life, this solid, tangible reality might be the ultimate illusion, a fleeting shadow play on a cosmic wall. What if the terror gripping you at the thought of oblivion is misplaced? What if you've already danced with the Grim Reaper countless times, each end merely a blink in an eternal unknowable sequence? The true horror isn't the cessation of breath, the stillness of your heart. No, the real dread lies in the after, the uncharted expanse your essence will traverse. Fail to recognize the radiant beacon that death truly is, and you condemn yourself to an endless dizzying loop. Birth, suffering, death, repeating ad infinitum. Heaven and hell? They aren't destinations on a map. They are states of consciousness, forged in the crucible of your life, awaiting you on the other side. For millennia, humanity has whispered of death as the ultimate enigma. But what if the veil is thinner than we imagine? What if death isn't a full stop but a comma in the grand sentence of existence? Picture your consciousness unbound, unshackled by the decaying cage of flesh and bone. This isn't an ending, it's an awakening. The spark within finally liberated from its earthly prison. The ancient Tibetans, with their profound wisdom, saw death not as a void, but as a homecoming, a return to the very source from which all being emanates. And that source is you. Through this final act, the soul plunges into realms of breathtaking mystery, the Bardos, hidden dimensions where the very fabric of reality unravels in ways our waking minds can scarcely comprehend. Across mystical traditions, death is rarely a full stop. It's a transition, a fluid movement of consciousness from one state to another, akin to the miraculous transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly, a shedding of the worn-out skin of existence, birthing a new form, unseen, unknown. Mystics and sages throughout time have described this as a perilous yet sacred journey across a threshold, leading the soul from the dense physical world into realms of unimaginable subtlety, ripe for further experience, purification, and profound learning. Esoteric philosophies whisper of death as a return pilgrimage to the origin, a shedding of the material baggage accumulated through a lifetime, allowing the soul to revert to its purest essence, a consciousness unbound by space and time. The endless cycle of birth and death, samsara, isn't a punishment, but a process of relentless refinement. Each death, each ending you fear, is a brutal yet necessary opportunity to evolve spiritually, to inch closer to the ultimate realization of your true, boundless nature, and finally shatter the chains of reincarnation, the dreaded wheel of samsara. Ancient texts, including the chillingly insightful Tibetan Book of the Dead, proclaim that consciousness isn't a mere byproduct of the brain, a fleeting electrical storm. It is a universal principle, an eternal spark that binds every living thing to a vast cosmic intelligence. In this terrifyingly expansive view, consciousness survives the crushing finality of physical death, remaining intact, embarking on a journey through unimaginable planes of existence. Mystical traditions often call this enduring essence the soul or spirit, a boundless awareness that dwarfs the temporary, fragile nature of your physical form. This consciousness, this eternal you, is believed to be an infinite field, and life itself merely a temporary ripple, a fleeting manifestation within it. The death experience, the moment you so dread, is simply consciousness withdrawing from its temporary shell, poised to re-emerge in its pure, terrifyingly unbound form. But why delve into these forbidden secrets? Why seek to lift the veil on the ultimate mystery? For ancient cultures, understanding death wasn't morbid curiosity. It was the key to unlocking the very nature of existence, the profound purpose that lies hidden beneath the surface of our fleeting lives. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, a chillingly detailed roadmap of the afterlife, serves as a guide for the dying, a desperate attempt to assist the soul in achieving liberation, in evading the treacherous pitfalls of fear, attachment, and ignorance that bind it to the endless cycle. Preparation for death wasn't a morbid preoccupation, it was an essential discipline. The mindset, the very state of consciousness at the final breath, is believed to irrevocably shape the soul's terrifying journey beyond. By confronting and mastering the fear of death in life, individuals could achieve an inner freedom, a profound liberation that amplified their spiritual journey, both in this life and in the shadowy realms of the Bardo. Bardo. The very word vibrates with an unsettling energy. In Tibetan mysticism, it signifies the intermediate state, the terrifying in-between. These are not just realms encountered after death. They are transitional moments woven into the very fabric of our lives. Each Bardo, a liminal space where the familiar boundaries of time, identity, and material reality dissolve, presents a chilling opportunity for transformation, growth, and a terrifying transcendence. The Tibetan Book of the Dead meticulously outlines 6 such Bardos, each a stage of consciousness, each presenting a unique, often horrifying set of experiences and opportunities for liberation or eternal entrapment. The very first state is the natural Bardo of this life. This is the Bardo you are living now, your waking existence, where you are actively, relentlessly shaping your consciousness, weaving the intricate tapestry of your karmic patterns. This seemingly ordinary stage holds the most profound opportunity for preparation, for directly confronting and transforming your consciousness through practices like meditation, ethical living, and a chilling detachment from the fleeting illusions of the material world. The second state, the painful Bardo of dying, is the terrifying moment when the threads connecting your soul to your physical form begin to fray and snap. This Bardo marks the agonizing beginning of the soul's disassociation, where each element, earth, water, fire, air, and space, dissolves in a horrifying sequence, and you, the individual, begin to experience a sickening detachment from the very sensations that once defined your reality. It is a time of powerful, often grotesque visions and sensations, a disorienting and terrifying descent into the unknown. As your final moments approach, Tibetan teachings describe a chilling journey through dissolution, a gradual, irreversible unraveling of your body, your mind, your very sense of self. This process unfolds like a series of terrifying doorways, each opening into a more subtle, more alien realm of awareness. Here, death isn't a peaceful fading. It's a profound, mystical passage into the abyss. The journey begins with the earth dissolving into water. The body, once your solid anchor, now betrays you, growing frail, unsteady. Strength ebbs away, replaced by a crushing sense of weight and gravity, as if you are sinking into an unseen mire, being slowly, inexorably compressed. This heaviness isn't merely physical. It is your body's final farewell to the stability it has always known. Then, water dissolves into fire. The vital fluids of your being begin to dry up, a relentless thirst signaling the inner drought. Warmth, the very essence of life, retreats from your extremities, hands, feet, face, and withdrawing slowly, inexorably towards your core. A dimming begins as if the light of your existence is being slowly extinguished, moving closer to some unknown center. Next, fire dissolves into air. The last vestiges of warmth abandon your body, leaving behind a chilling coolness. And with it come visions, flickering lights, dancing sparks, vague undulating shapes that writhe before your mind's eye. It is as though your inner fire, the spark of your being, is surrendering, leaving only a shallow, fading breath. With the fading of air into space, your breathing becomes a mere whisper, Light and shallow, thoughts and sensations drift, scattered like dead leaves on a windless day. In these terrifying moments, your mind begins to sense a vast emptiness, an all-encompassing silence. Perceptions blur, and a sense of boundless space expands, as if the very boundaries of yourself are melting into the great unknown. Finally, space dissolves into pure consciousness. All that remains is awareness, stark and boundless, terrifyingly freed from the confines of body, mind, and identity. This consciousness is described as a luminous, radiant presence. It is an opening, a final, precious gateway into a realm beyond form. Tibetan wisdom whispers that this moment is sacred, a terrifying threshold where your consciousness can perceive its truest nature, luminous and vast. For those who have trained, who have prepared for this ultimate journey, death is not feared, but approached with a chilling reverence as the ultimate opportunity for liberation. If in these fleeting, terrifying moments, you can recognize the light of pure awareness as your own true essence, you may transcend the endless cycle of rebirth and suffering, merging with an endless, profound peace. This is the ultimate passage, a journey of terrifying transformation through dissolution, where what remains is a mere glimmer of the eternal. The third state, the luminous Bardo of Dharmata, is where the soul confronts the raw, unfiltered truth of reality. Here, the clear light, a pure, non-dual awareness, blazes forth, representing the ultimate terrifying truth. In this Bardo, the potential for liberation is at its absolute peak. If the soul can recognize this radiant light as its own intrinsic nature, instantaneous liberation can be achieved. But if not, it descends into more differentiated, often horrifying visions of peaceful and wrathful deities. In the Tibetan teachings, the luminous Bardo of Dharmata unfolds as a realm of pure, blinding light, a critical stage in the post-mortem journey where the soul is forced to confront the very essence of reality itself. Here, the clear light, a radiant, non-dual awareness, emerges as the ultimate truth, vast, formless, and utterly free from the comforting illusion of individual identity. A light so pure, so absolute that it transcends all worldly constraints. For those who have dedicated their lives to spiritual practice, who have diligently prepared for this ultimate unveiling, this light is not an external phenomenon, but a terrifying reflection of their own deepest nature, a luminous gateway to enlightenment itself. At this precarious threshold, liberation can occur in an instant, should the soul recognize the clear light as its own true essence. Freedom from the agonizing cycle of birth and death is realized, and the soul is finally, terrifyingly liberated. But this recognition is far from simple. It demands a complete, utter detachment from the habits, thoughts, and clinging attachments that have accumulated over countless lifetimes. Fear, that primal shadow born of the unknown, must be ruthlessly overcome, and the mind must remain utterly open, unclouded by the comforting illusions it has so carefully constructed. For most, however, the Dharmata Bardo is not a realm of pure, unwavering light. As the clear light begins to fade, the soul is often assailed by vivid, often grotesque visions, deities both serene and wrathful. These are not external entities, but terrifying symbolic reflections of the soul's own karma, its unresolved emotions, and the very fabric of its consciousness. These figures are projections of the mind itself, and through them the soul is given a final, desperate opportunity to recognize the illusory nature of its own creations. Each vision, whether breathtakingly peaceful or utterly fearsome, is a mirror reflecting the soul's internal state, a chance to finally release the ingrained patterns that bind it to the wheel of suffering. Yet this is not an easy task. The primary obstacles in this Bardo are the insidious trio of fear, ignorance, and attachment. When the clear light dims, many souls succumb to confusion, unable to perceive the truth for what it truly is. Instead, they become ensnared by their own mental projections, tragically drawn back into the familiar agonizing cycles of rebirth, forever repeating old patterns of suffering. The ancient teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead offer chilling guidance in these critical moments. Prayers and instructions designed to pierce through the veil of illusion, to remind the soul to let go, to see these terrifying visions as nothing more than fleeting figments of the mind, and to return to the radiant awareness that is always, terrifyingly, present. The fourth state, the Karmic Bardo of becoming, is the grim reality if liberation is not attained in the luminous Bardo. Here the soul is inexorably drawn towards rebirth. This stage is governed by the relentless, unseen forces of karma, and the soul is pulled towards new parents and circumstances, a terrifying destiny dictated by its past actions and unresolved attachments. The journey through the Karmic Bardo of becoming is an intricate, often horrifying dance of energies, a relentless process where the soul is dragged towards its next incarnation by the powerful, invisible pull of its past actions, thoughts, and intentions. This realm, shaped entirely by the immutable laws of karma, is not a place of judgment in the conventional sense, but a terrifying space where the soul continues its relentless evolution, guided by the unseen, often terrifying consequences of its own past. As the soul departs the physical body, it enters a state where it is magnetically, inexorably attracted to realms that perfectly mirror the frequency of its accumulated karma. The forces at work in this Bardo are not random. They are deeply, terrifyingly tied to the purity or distortion of the soul's intentions over countless lifetimes. A soul that has acted with compassion, love, and truth is gently, almost serenely, drawn towards higher, more harmonious planes of existence where peace and spiritual growth are more readily accessible. Conversely, a soul that has been driven by fear, hatred, or ignorance is brutally pulled into denser, more chaotic realms where suffering persists, not as a divine punishment, but as a harsh catalyst for necessary learning and eventual transformation. The Tibetan teachings chillingly reveal that this pull is not about retribution, but about the soul's inherent need to confront unresolved energies and continue its agonizing journey towards ultimate liberation. Within the Karmic Bardo, the subtle mind of the deceased is relentlessly bombarded by vivid mental impressions, samskaras, that eerily echo the desires, fears, and clinging attachments from past lives. These impressions become like insidious seeds, carrying the potent karmic energies of unresolved emotions, broken relationships, and fleeting pleasures from the previous incarnation. Attachments to loved ones, to material wealth, to the ephemeral joys of the past life act like invisible chains, pulling the soul back into circumstances where these desires may be re-experienced, though often in a way that can never provide lasting fulfillment. These desires become binding forces, trapping the soul in the endless cycle of rebirth, forever tethered to the unresolved past. As the soul is dragged through this terrifying state, it begins to encounter unsettling visions of potential parents. Spectral images shaped by the soul's own karmic resonance. These are not random encounters, but luminous, often disturbing impressions reflecting the vibrational qualities of both the soul and the parents it is inexorably drawn to. At this critical juncture, the soul retains some semblance of choice, though it is often severely constrained by the overwhelming gravitational pull of its own accumulated karma. The soul may feel a magnetic attraction or a violent aversion to certain parental figures, based on the unresolved karmic patterns it still desperately needs to confront. However, advanced souls, those who have achieved significant spiritual awareness during their lifetime, may possess more terrifying agency in this process, consciously choosing the conditions of their next birth, selecting circumstances that will most effectively aid their ongoing journey towards liberation. Yet, even as the soul approaches its new birth, there descends a merciful yet terrifying veil of forgetfulness, a natural barrier that erases the conscious memory of past lives. This veil, though seemingly cruel, is often seen as an act of cosmic mercy, allowing the soul to fully engage in its current life without being utterly overwhelmed by the crushing weight of past traumas and unresolved experiences. Without this oblivion, the soul could be paralyzed by the sheer burden of its history, preventing it from fully embracing the lessons and opportunities of the present incarnation. But this veil is not absolute. In moments of profound introspection, in the ethereal landscape of dreams, or in sudden, chilling flashes of intuition, hints of past lives may eerily emerge, offering fleeting glimpses of unresolved karma or latent abilities carried over from previous incarnations. Spiritual practices such as deep meditation can also help pierce through this veil, allowing advanced practitioners to access past life memories and gain profound insights that guide their ongoing spiritual evolution. The Karmic Bardo of becoming is a terrifying realm of both profound mystery and limited opportunity. It is the space where the soul is relentlessly drawn towards its next incarnation by the invisible yet inescapable forces of karma, where it encounters spectral visions of potential parents and begins to experience the subtle, often disturbing energies that will shape its future. In this agonizing journey, the soul is both guided and constrained by its past, but it is always, inexorably, moving towards an eventual, perhaps never fully realized reunion with its truest, highest nature. The fifth state, the Bardo of Dream, refers to the intermediate state experienced in sleep, a realm that eerily mirrors the experience of death in its temporary separation from the physical body. Dream practice, an integral part of Bardo training, is used as a chilling preparation for the ultimate transition, teaching one how to recognize the illusory nature of existence and to achieve lucidity within these ephemeral realms. The sixth and final state, the Bardo of Meditation, pertains to the profound meditative states one can achieve during life, where the practitioner experiences the radiant clarity of awareness and the terrifying dissolution of egoic boundaries. In advanced meditation, individuals can glimpse states that chillingly mimic the post-death Bardos, providing a terrifyingly real preparation for the actual experience of death itself. Our journey into the terrifying unknown continues. Stay tuned if you dare.